back with Mark Nelson, and today we're talking about DIY beads. And Mark is a metalsmith, and you're going to show us how to make some beads from scratch.
I will.
All right. So these are some samples, and it looks like silver.
It's a silver. It's a type of silver. It's called Argentium.
Okay, so that's a special type of silver that has, it's a different alloy.
That's right, exactly. And the process is taught to me by a friend of mine, Rhonda Coriel, and it's all fusing. There's no solder.
So all of these beads are fused together.
All fused.
Beautiful, beautiful. So how do we get started? What does this look like before you begin?
Well, at the very beginning, you're going to start with a disc, and this could be a bought disc that's been pre-cut, or you can use a disc cutter. If you cut it by hand, you want to try and be as precise as you can, because these are two halves that are going to have to match.
Okay, so consistency is the key here.
Right. And the first step is, of course, is to make kind of a half dome.
Okay.
And so we'll take our dapping block, and can you hand me the hammer over there? Right on. And we're just going to make our half dome. You know, it could be a half a dome or two slight little spheres, however you want to make your bead. And you're going to go through all the steps to do that. Once you get all these done, the next step is going to be to create a, put that back for me.
Okay, so for people who haven't seen this before, this is a dapping block.
It's a dapping block,
Right.
and it's a dapping punch.
Okay, and there are different sizes here on top, and what are those for?
Well, it's just a male and a female, and what you want to do is match up the dap punch part so that there's a little bit of a gap about the thickness of your metal. Okay, if it's too big, you'll damage both tools.
Oh, I see.
Okay. So, and you just keep going through the different sizes. You'll start at one point and go to another until you get to the sphere that you like.
Okay, so these are actually graduated?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And when you get to a point that you have the profile that you like, here you want to drill your hole, because we are going to put heat on a closed space. That heat can expand and cause problems.
Okay, so you do the hole first, and that almost looks like a bead cap. Could you use it as a bead cap at this point?
Certainly could.
Okay.
Yeah, you could just stop right here and use it as a bead cap, or keep on going.
Okay, so what's next?
Next thing is we got to make a flat edge. So we have two flat edges that meet up together. And you just take some sandpaper. And you do a figure 8 like this, it's going to sand it even. Okay? If you're just going back and forth, you're actually going to end up with a...
Oh, because you might be putting more pressure on one side or the other.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do you make sure that both of your halves are the same? Do you know what I mean, that they're going to fit together?
Well, when you start working, you'll have one, you can have another, and you just kind of
You'll
match
just
them up.
sort of match them as you go along, and then if one needs to be dapped more, you would just continue to hammer it?
Continue to hammer it, or sand more.
Oh, okay.
Because that'll bring the edges into alignment even better then. But you definitely need some holes, or at least one hole, about the size of the cord that you're going to put through there.
Okay.
Okay?
And you're just using a drill?
Just using a drill like I normally would.
Okay.
So the next thing you need to do is solder it. Actually, I didn't say solder, it's fusing.
Fusing it.
And you're going to have to do this on a charcoal block, okay, or else it won't work. We're going to use our safety glasses here.
Okay. And the charcoal block works with Argentium because of the chemical, there's a chemical process that happens there, right? For the fusing? Okay.
And so what I've done is I've taken these two pieces and applied a little bit of flux right here on the edge. That. And you're just going to put that on there.
And is flux kind of, would you consider it a binder? Or this, what is it exactly?
What it is a wetting agent. It also allows, when the metal flows, it allows the metal to flow. And it keeps the oxygen away.
Oh, okay.
Because when you have dirt or oxidation, the metal won't flow.
It would prevent it from fusing in that spot.
Exactly.
So really, you're joining these, they become one piece.
It'll be one entire piece, no solder. There won't be a solder seam later on, because it'll never be there.
And because there's no solder, you could almost even reuse this later if you wanted to turn it into something else.
It certainly could. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to use kind of a large flame, but it's going to be kind of bushy. So it's not going to be a very hot flame. Okay.
And what type of torch is this?
This is a oxypropane torch. And you can adjust it to different size of flames. I like this for doing this because I can get anywhere from really hot and small to kind of light and bushy.
Oh, you have a lot of control over the flame.
A lot of control.
Okay.
So now what we need to do is kind of come in here and point underneath. Just kind of rotate it. Now, one of the cool things about fusing this instead of soldering, if I had to solder this, I'd have to use binding wire and try and place my solder. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't have to with this.
So would you say this is a less intricate way to make a metal bead?
It's very simple. It's not complicated. You will have to be sensitive to the material and see how it's starting to get up to temperature here. So we got to be careful now that we don't melt it.
Oh, okay.
So see how I'm dancing the flame?
And it's turning a little bit red.
Yeah, a little bit red, a little bit shiny. I think we're just about there. Now what's important here is that we let it cool.
And do you let it cool on the block?
I'll let it cool right there. And then until all that redness goes, and then I'll quench it in the water. Okay.
And what happens if you quench it before it's completely cool?
It could crumble.
Oh, okay.
It could crumble.
Well, let's take a look at these finished beads, because you can see they're completely solid. And so this is a little bit of an advanced project for somebody who's just getting started, might be, you know, not quite ready to do soldering. This is a next level type of project, but you could even take it farther.
Oh, you can take it as far as you like, yeah.
Add some more embellishing there. And is this something that you do after you have the base bead complete?
Yes, and this is all done after the bead is made, and you add your details afterwards.
Okay.
So.
Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome.
And we'll be right back with Crystal Wick and fabric beads.